Paris in the 1920s. A young Englishwoman meets an exiled Georgian prince. He stays in Paris. She travels and settles in Shanghai, where foreigners enjoyed an easy and privileged life until December 1941. She is then interned with other foreigners 1943 to 1945. In 1946, she comes to Victoria, buys an undeveloped piece of property, reunites with her prince. They marry, and as Prince and Princess Abkhazi, they settle in Victoria and begin creating a garden in celebration of their love. The prince and the princess are gone, but the garden remains, visited and enjoyed in every month of the year by Victorians and by tourists. Now the paths, the shriveled plants, and the bare trees all speak of winter, but this is Victoria, so we are not surprised the grass is still green, and already in January we can see the first signs of new life. By February, blossoms are coming out along the path through the rhododendron woodland. Many plants are just dead stalks. The only trees not bare are the Spanish firs and the Gary oaks, brown with last year's leaves. But the borders are healthy, full of snowdrops and crocuses, cyclamen and primula, and early budding silver lace. The hornbeam hedge remains leafless in March, but the rhododendrons are in full bloom. And we begin to see more green along the west side path. Spring sunshine floods the main lawn, the heather-bordered path, and the ancient rocks with their ponds and trickling rivulets. While warming weather starts the peony buds, brings out swamp lantern, pachyphragma, viburnum, celandine, arum, white icicle, and red flowering currant, forsythia and daffodils. April brings the garden a profusion of color along the woodland paths, and a crimson carpet of last month's blossoms. The Gary oaks are coming into leaf. The pond reflects new life. A spring breeze shakes the tulips and the primula. Yellow and pink anemones, Spanish bluebells, primula, trillium, and mauve mist add bright spots of color to a space elegantly completed by the smoothly curved forms of the sculptures. With May, the strengthening sun adds a new intensity to the east path and the south lawn. The Gary oaks are all in leaf, and the sculptures are even more dramatic. The pond reveals a glimpse of other life, and now the garden becomes a celebration of color, with a show of splurge, false Solomon's seal, rock roses, clusters of primula, purple sensation, beautiful irises, and the lovely rocks peony. June, midsummer, the garden is at its very best. A rich green overflows the rocks above the meandering path Peggy named the Yangtze River because it reminded her of Shanghai. Turtles and sculptures bask in the sun. Everything is at its most luxuriant. The crimson of the rhodos contrasts with the white of the hebe, the allium, the magnificent Duchess of Edinburgh clematis, and with the varied hues of hairy geranium, parasol, penstemon, pardalium lily, sea holly, and the bright yellow of Mexican orange blossom and the subtle brown of split-leafed maple. The entering path, bordered by blue flowers, the south lawn, vibrant in the heat of mid-July, and the lilies all serve to lead the visitor's eye and imagination up to this image of elegance and serenity. The west path flaunts its viburnum and hydrangea. The Gary oaks are in their prime, and the garden is bright with the blues of Estebe, willow gentian and meadow cranesbill, the yellow of brown-eyed Susan and daylilies, the red of fuchsia and the vivid purple of water lilies. By mid-August, the hottest months have come and gone, but most of the garden is still a healthy green and still animated by purple hypoxis, lemon lily, ginger lily, clematis, arum, little maid, fuchsia, purple emperor, and yarrow. It remains warm enough for turtles to enjoy the sun, for tourists to take tea outdoors, and for honeybees to visit the cilia. But the rhodo leaves have begun to droop, the cyclamen is surrounded by dead leaves, the sea holly has died, and rose hips have replaced roses. Garry oaks hold on to their leaves well into September, and the plants keep much of their color, still making a show of autumn joy, penstamen, cotton easter, smoke bush, and wand plant. But the clematis is going to seed, and yellowing leaves celebrate the changing season, hanging from the roadways and scattering along the pathways. Those who love the garden are either busy preparing it for winter, or they're searching out a convenient spot where they can savor the last warmth of summer. October brings gray skies, cold winds, dead and falling leaves. The turtles are gone and mushrooms appear in the borders. And along the autumn paths we meet no tourists and only a very few locals. The garden becomes a mosaic of greens and reds, and the darkening days are brightened by mountain blueberry and by late blooming acanthus, primula, nerine, and white peony. By November, blossoms are only a memory, and all the faded browns and yellows are balanced by the brighter hues of full moon maple, smoke bush, sorbus, and hardy geranium. Bare branches frame the shrubbery and the statues and hover above the pond, where the rivulet whispers softly of patience, and most of the garden waits for better days. The lawn below the summer house remains green and healthy. December's midwinter sun lights up the sculptures, casts long shadows across lawns and ponds, and glows on the moss-covered rocks. While the old year is dying, the first new buds appear, completing the cycle and showing us the garden as a celebration of life itself, and always a place where lovers come to share a quiet cup of tea.